I have to admit, I didn't get to watch KHOU last night.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you were on KHOU last night.
Yeah, Brandon was on with us too.
And you guys do a thing at the beginning of the show. I'm typically a regular watcher. I just didn't get to watch it last night. You do a thing at the beginning of each show, which I think it's a good gimmick, where you have a board with a bunch of emojis on it.
Right.
And you pick, and they all obviously express a different emotion, anywhere from extreme sadness to extreme happiness and everything in between. Which emoji did you pick last night?
I picked the emoji that I guess is because we only have 8 to choose from.
Right.
Mine was a little bit of befuddlement, and it's because of my conflicted internal state. I keep reminding myself that, hey, they've just gone 2-0 with a backup quarterback.
Yep.
There is an element to this offense, and I think a lot of the fans share this sentiment with me. You're happy that they're winning games with the backup quarterback, but because the offense was so scattershot and inconsistent in the first half of the season, you don't accept that. Okay, well, theoretically, when the starting quarterback gets back, it should be even better because it just doesn't feel like you can rely on certain things. So I'm trying to figure all that out, Sean. You know what I'm trying to be? I'm trying to not be a spoiled SOB.
Yeah.
And yet I feel like I am a little bit of a spoiled SOB, but I have that right because they're a 500 football team, and the standards are still higher than 500 football for this football team.
Yeah, no question. The reason I asked, because I felt relief at the end of that game. And I think in watching the end of that game and the last second field goal, overall jubilant last-second field goals that I've seen the Texans have. I think looking at DeMeco Ryans walking out to the middle of the field to shake hands with people, that looked like a guy who was relieved after that game, not ecstatic after that game.
There are a few people that got angry with me on my live stream, politely angry with me because they disagree with me, but you and I are both at this point where I feel like we hold the defense to such a high standard that 13 points. It's for me, like it's not good enough. Like this defense needs to be all time if they're going to prop up the offense. And what I get nervous about are some of these late fourth quarter collapses by the defense, and that was a classic one yesterday because we've seen this multiple times this year where the defense plays like one of the greatest defenses ever until the very last 1 or 2 drives, and then all of a sudden you let a long scramble. Your very, very good young cornerback Kamari Lassiter lets a tight end sneak past him. These little things that keep teams around when they're capable of being just a flat out, early 2000s Buccaneers or Baltimore Ravens type defense, they can go out and win a game all on their own.
Well, especially against the team like you were playing yesterday, where you're dominating them all day, and then you give up. That's the third straight game they've given up a huge scramble on the last drive of the game. Yeah. And it's fortunately it only came back to bite them one time, and that was against Bo Nix. But Trevor Lawrence had one last week, and Cam Ward had one yesterday, and then he dropped that dime into Okonkwo that set up the touchdown.
And it goes back to that Tampa game where, man, that would have been 2 playoff caliber teams at this point if you had just kept the quarterback from scrambling on that 4th and 10.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold the Texans defense to a higher standard than I hold their offense. Is it fair? No, but that's the way. That's the reality. Is that it's as good as the Texans defense is, they're capable of more. Yep. And so people continue to get upset with me for, I think, being a tough parent to that defense of the Texans.
Makes sense. So overriding emotion for me was relief. I just put in my phone relief as a word on a text to myself to see which emoji popped up. It's this smiling emoji with like a
one drop of sweat on your brow.
Yeah. Do you guys have that one available on KHOU?
No, I don't think we do.
Okay, well, I'm never coming on the show then. Okay.
It's one of the long things. It's really almost didn't sign my last contract with KHOU because Jason Bristol and I battled over that.
I get to choose the 8 emojis that go up on the whiteboard.
Yeah. Bristol said, "We don't have the budget, Payne."
Yeah, that's right.
And I said, "Listen, Bristol, you get your ass in gear, all right?"
Oh, yeah. It was one of the all-time great labor negotiations. People talk about it all over the place. Bristol versus Payne.
I brought in my old former, my Cornell brethren there, J.C. Treader.
Oh, yeah, Treader. Yeah, Treader came in and did
He went to the School of Industrial and Labor Relations.
Got the job done for you. Yeah, and former NFLPA president.
Yeah, they did a bang-up job there. Yeah.
Sure did.
They went from the fourth best union in all of the big major league sports.
Now, overall, the defense is really good yesterday, and I think holding them to a higher standard. I think you and I, as you said, you and I both do that. If we're going to dig into this game from a positive perspective, and they win the game to go 5-5, the Davis Mills throw to Nico Collins on 3rd and 16. If this team goes on to do anything this year, and they got 7 games left. They're probably going to need to win at least 5 of them in order to be in the hunt for the postseason. The way the AFC is shaping up right now. If they go on to do that, they're going to look back at we are going to look back at the fourth quarter of that Jacksonville game, several plays Davis Mills made, and we're going to look back at this play. We got it, Ben, right here. 3rd and 16. The Titans had just tied the game up at 13. Little surprised they didn't go for 2. Little surprised. Just they're 1-8 on the season. I was a little surprised that they kicked the extra point. But then the Texans began marching back down the field. They've got a 3rd and 16 on their own side of the 50, and their offense is not doing anything at this point, and this happens.
It's 3rd and 16 for the Houston 42. Marks in the backfield, Mills in the gun. Here's the snap. Davis firing downfield, and he's got Nico Collins on the sideline at the 40. Toe tapper. They say catch. Yes. What a clutch reception by Nico Collins.
Get to the line of scrimmage and run a play.
Snap this football at the 41-yard line.
Oh, he's definitely in.
Yeah, we're good. And that was the right idea. Like, we weren't sure if he got both feet in, and then you see the replay, and he easily got both feet in.
It was a classic, just Mills read cover 2, and he put it there in the honey hole. That's what they call it. I know it sounds weird, but that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Between the safety and the corner, and it was last week we wondered whether Davis Mills was forcing it to Nico Collins too much. Yesterday, he was 9 for 10 throwing it to Nico Collins, and the vast majority of them were for over 10 air yards. It was that was a great connection between those two yesterday.
They were doing that thing that we scream at them to do when the offense is bogged down and it seems like they're getting too cute, which is throw the slant to Nico.
Yeah.
throw the slant to Nico. They did it. The drive where they scored their only touchdown. They came out in the second half. That was their first drive of the second half, and they came out 3 for 3 to Nico Collins, including the touchdown at the end. The other throws were like inward slants to him.
I'll tell you what, that final drive for me, and I haven't been able to, once I watch the All-22, I'll confirm this or not, but this is why big run-stuffing defensive tackles don't get drafted in the first round hardly ever again, unless they also have a pass-rushing element to it. Devondre Sweat, as far as I could tell, wasn't on the field on that drive, and all of a sudden the Texans were able to run the ball.
Yeah.
And they were able to kind of dice them up because you got your pass rushers out there, and there were a couple of key runs on that drive that really, really mattered, but where they really had not been able to run the ball consistently at all up to that point.
Were you surprised at the way Mike McCoy was handling the clock at the end of the game? After the Nico play, he didn't.
Once they got into field goal range,
he started using them with under 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
And all that was doing was stopping for the Texans had no timeouts left. All it was doing was stopping the clock for the Texans to then run Woody Marks 2 more times.
Right.
And get 8 or 10 more yards and allow a backup kicker who had boinked one off the upright from 31 earlier in the game to get 8 or 10 yards closer. I'm like, what? You're not getting. He's started using them with 29 seconds left. I'm like, why? Oh, you're not going to get the ball back here in good position.
The biggest thing that it was really annoying too, though, was because it was after they didn't go for 2 on the tying touchdown.
Yeah.
Where they could have gone ahead. That would have been an aggressive move, and then all of a sudden they're conserving time for just some kind of a deep shot or something at the end of the game.
I don't know.
It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, you got all 3 timeouts. If you're of mind to use them at all, start using them as soon as you possibly can. He starts using them with 20-something seconds left. I'm like, all right, if you want us to run a play for 5 more yards. I mean, if he had just not touched his timeouts, if he had just said, you know what, we're going to back away, we're going to let the clock burn out, we're going to see if this kicker fails, and that's it, then the Texans probably would have been kicking from like 10 yards further.
Yeah.
But he's stopping the clock, and they're like, all right, let's run another couple plays here.
The other reason I was kind of befuddled after this game was just the thing we really can't ignore in victory is the game management stuff. I have no idea why they challenged that Christian Kirk reception.
I don't either.
Where everybody for the past 10 years, remember we had like a 2 or 3 year long debate about what a catch is, and people had to slowly learn, okay, if you don't hold on, and it's not a catch.
Yep.
That was classic textbook. We've all come to an agreement on this. And all of a sudden, the Texans are challenging that like they're the Dallas Cowboys in 2012 or something.
You could see the ball roll away on the original. You didn't even have to watch the replay. The original TV copy, the original televising of that catch, you saw the ball roll away afterwards.
And then later on the Jaden Higgins catch down at the goal line, A, it might have been a touchdown, and B, even if it wasn't, the spot was horrific. I could tell immediately. Yeah. When they spotted it, I'm like, what the guy was like, it was like he was spotting it where Jaden Higgins' foot was instead of where the ball was.
Right.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And they didn't challenge that. And they ultimately scored a touchdown anyway, but that was bad.
Yeah. No, they won the game. No, that was D'Amico didn't have a good game management game, I thought, between those two, and I didn't understand them taking the ball, winning the coin toss. You have the number one defense in the league going against the worst offense. Mm-hmm. And your offense bore itself out. They got shut out by the Titans in the first half. Your offense is not good, and the thought is, hey, let's put our offense on the field first and forego the possibility of getting an extra possession in the game by deferring. That made no sense to me.
The only thing about that I'm wondering is I'm still trying to figure out and sort out, as is the league, I think, on exactly how the new kickoff rules are kind of changing things.
Maybe.
So when it becomes, if you're thinking it's going to be a field position game, you take that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the tendencies and trends are starting to change on a lot of the initial coin toss decisions.
Maybe. I just think if there's you defer, there's a percentage chance extra possession in the game.
Right.
If you close out the first half and start the ball in the second half. That's neither here nor there. They won it 16-13 yesterday. What did you think of the offensive line yesterday?
I mean, at the end of the day, it still all goes back to the offseason. So Ed Ingram is still injured, so he can't be out there. I feel good about Ed Ingram, but your best option at right guard isn't one of the two guys that you spent the entire season rotating at left guard. Mm-hmm. It's to move Titus Howard down to guard and then have a guy that just, frankly, Trent Brown can't move all that well.
Yeah.
He looks kind of scarily unhealthy while he's out there too, but he doesn't move all that
he's
well.
Heavy. Yeah.
And it's not he starts at right tackle not because I think they feel awesome about him at right tackle, but because they understand that they're awful on the interior. And when you're going against T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons, you go back to that old dynamic we've seen all year long. Man, if you're going up against really tough physical defensive linemen, you guys are going to have a hard time playing your preferred brand of football. They want to be tough and big and physical in the middle there, but they're not as tough and physical as guys like T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons.
If Ed Ingram is back for the Bills game this Thursday, what's the move on the offensive line? Where does Titus is going to be somewhere? Where does he go?
Yeah, Titus will be at right tackle.
Back at right tackle?
Okay,
so not over to left guard to go play over there. Okay.
I don't think so. I think you got to put your best players where they like.
I'm 100% with you. I'm 100% with you.
This whole notion of put your best 5 guys out on the court or on the field, it feels like if you had 3 really to do nothing but go small ball with 3 point guards on a basketball
3 of
team
our best
all
players.
The time.
Yeah.
Right. There is a difference between playing tackle and guard and center. They're not the same positions.
Hey, speaking of which, as long as we got a couple minutes here, we got to prop up the Rockets for last night, man. That was
my goodness.
Well, I mean, or the Orlando Magic without Paolo Banchero, so it's not, it's not anything they're going to go hang in Springfield or anything like that. But they were trailing that entire game, and they were trailing by a bunch in the second half, and they showed some situational guts in that game, man.
They had, and it was a classic night where they were getting all their rebounds but not getting points off of their rebounds. So that's where their MO kind of falls apart a little bit when that doesn't happen. Şengün, man, he just continues. I don't want to say surprise you, but the way he's developed and what he's become is so cool to watch. And my very favorite moment of that game was at the very end of regulation when Şengün ties it, and they show Şengün, he's stone-faced. Ahmed Thompson, stone-faced.
Yeah.
No, not even any jubilation or anything, just like, all right, what's next?
Yep.
What's next? These are your younger players, and there's zero about that moment that feels like, oh, hey, look at what we did. Let's give us a participation ribbon for tying it.
It is funny, because now I think, Şengün's been a good player, obviously. He was an all-star last year. He's never been this level of go-to guy. And now you have Kevin Durant on the team. You know, it's like Şengün's
that final play by Durant.
Yeah, Şengün's elevate acquiring Durant, who hadn't made a three the entire game. Then he makes one to go up 95-94, and then he makes the one to tie it at 100. It was 98-97, and the Rockets are down by one. They bring the ball up, and Durant, all four other guys touch the ball except Durant, and they don't get a good shot out of it. Yeah. And then Orlando goes down, gets a bucket to go up three. The next possession, they just let Durant bring the ball up the floor. He doesn't pass it to anybody. He just jab steps the guy that's guarding him and takes a step back three. Those are the times, Seth, like the 98-97 possession. Thankfully, they're few and far between. I think this team has managed not having a real point guard pretty well. I mean, they're 8-3, obviously, or 9-3, whatever the hell they are. But that was one of those possessions. I'm like, all right, Fred VanVleet would have found a way for Kevin Durant to at least touch the ball down one with under a minute to go in the game.
Yeah, and Durant on that final shot just waves off Amen and ISOs it up, and boom, there is your closer right there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Real quick, since we're on the miracle things that are happening at the ends of games.
Yeah.
Right before the show, I was rewatching D'Amico's press conference, and in his opening statement, he says he thanks God and does all that. And it was weird because then immediately we played that clip of him in the locker room. And when he said a guy that's been with us for a couple of weeks, I thought he said God's been with us for a couple of weeks.
Well, he has.
Like D'Amico had gone all Job during that in the first part of the season. Like he had forsaken us, but he is back.
Yeah. That time D'Amico was walking around with a t-shirt with Jesus over it. They were 0-3.
He's been with us eventually.
Yeah, finally.
Yes.
Took him 11 weeks.